I don't think you have, Matt, regardless of what you've been through. I don't think you really have.
It's easy for you to say that.
But it's easy for you to say that as a 21-year-old who hasn't really had that much happen to
No,
him.
in perspective, no, my life has been easier except for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
But when you go from like up here to down here, that fall is very hard. And it's hard to describe.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's your perspective as somebody who hasn't seen very much.
I think that's a very heartless thing you said, and I don't like that you said that. I don't like you saying that because it's a bit annoying for you to say that to me. But regardless, I forgot my point was now.
No, I'm sticking by that because you're 21, right? So we haven't seen anything really in life.
No,
it is personal to everyone what you feel because obviously you're up here and you're down here. The fall is still the same sort of feeling, falling from a sense of security to feeling like you have nothing and wanting nothing but death, really. And I can only imagine how horrible that is.
It is bad, yeah. But I don't think you can really say that because you haven't been me. Obviously, I'm not saying I've seen like, I'm not saying I've seen like my whole family get bombed.
No, I'm just saying don't dwell in it.
No, but exactly, I agree with that.
That's my point.
If you sleep on your losses, you're going to wake up with a loss.
Yeah.
If you sleep on your wins, you're going to wake up with a loss. That's a John Kavanagh quote. You've got to in tough times, you've got to look around and you've got to think, how am I going to get out of this? That's what I was doing. When I was down bad, that sounds like quite city boy of me to say. But when I was down bad, I was just looking like, how can this be better? Because if you feel at your worst, the only place you can go is up.
Yeah, it's like that Dwayne Johnson's speech when he says your back's against the wall, you can only move forward. So if you're really, and this is another thing while we're on this topic, if you are feeling like you literally nothing worse could happen to you right now. And by the way, firstly, there's always somebody worse off than you. And secondly, if you are feeling like, right, this is it now, I'm at rock bottom. Well, good. Now you can move forward because that's the only direction for you.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's going to be almost impossible. It's like I was saying, we were talking in the last episode. Like, for example, we were talking about Jocko Willink, and he said bad things happen, good. And I said, what if like my parents died? I can't imagine if Jocko Willink said, well, good. Now you have trauma to build on. Yeah. I'd be like, shut the fuck up! Don't ever say that to me. Now that this just has happened, you're in a different headspace.
I was,
and it does take it takes somebody else, takes somebody like me to tell you, just move forward now.
Yeah,
and it does piss you off because I haven't been through it, but it does take somebody else to tell you.
Yeah, but it's almost like if you were me back then, how would you have reacted?
I don't know because I haven't had that happen to me.
And it's like that is the sort of the annoying thing. It's not the fact that you said that to me. It's like Al, you weren't me. You don't know what I was. You can't be.
But don't get upset about it. Don't let yourself get upset about it.
Right now?
You are clearly upset about it because you just said it's annoyed me.
It just you can't say how you would. You can't really lecture me on it because you weren't there. I was like completely alone mentally. Whether it was my own choice because of my actions, you weren't there, and it's like I wouldn't wish how bad I was psychologically on anyone. I wouldn't wish it on you. And it's like it's easy for you to sit there from a comfortable family, and I'm not saying I'm uncomfortable. Obviously, it's not as if everyone in my family's dead. It's easy for you. It's easy for you to, from your position of like comfort, sit there and be like, oh, there's always someone worse off better than you. But when you're in that moment, then this is what
you don't.
When you're in that moment,
feel
you're like, mate, this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But it does get better, and I wouldn't be a case example of that. Like, I won't go into too much detail, but I was like,
it wasn't even that long ago.
No, it was April. It was Easter Sunday this year. I was literally thinking of killing myself. I was like,
I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny at all.
No, it is funny to me now because obviously I'm in such a position now. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is die because I've got so much to live for. But like I felt like I had nothing to live for.
Well, that's a success. So you've experienced success properly then. That is success.
Success, yeah.
So explain that then. Explain that path and what you think is important for other people to know in walking that path that you've walked. How do they walk that path? God, put a kettle on now. This is going to be a...
Squats? No, well, when I was at my lowest, I felt like really bad, and I felt like every day I was waking up. It was like, imagine having like a headache all the time, but instead of a headache, it's just pain, just throbbing pain. Like I just had this like throbbing pain in my head, and it's just like, I don't know, it feels like I couldn't breathe mentally. Like, do you ever have that moment where you're like, I just want to break? Do you ever have that?
I do sometimes.
It's like that, and you just can't. It's hard to put into words because like I was like crying my eyes out. I felt so alone. I felt like so deserted by like not everyone, but it wasn't anyone's fault. It was my own. But the stuff that happened to me, it just made me feel so bad and just so like deflated mentally. And I was like, what is the point in this? Like I just, you know, if I was like not a quitter, but if I couldn't handle the pain, obviously I would have done something really bad. But for me, that was a very telling moment that I'm strong, and I think you only find out how strong you are through tough times.
Yeah,
And to explain
possibly.
the path to people, firstly, reach out. Speak to someone. I did speak to someone. I spoke to my auntie, and I just want to thank her for talking to me. And I was really I was really bad. I spoke to my mum about this, and when she got home from being away, and we had a nice chat about it, and I told her my feelings. But the most importantly is to speak to someone and realize that you're not alone. When you're really bad mentally, you feel like you're the only person on earth, and you feel like literally no one cares about you. People do care about you. You do have family that love you. And for me, it was all about that, and it was all about channeling the negativity into positivity. Like we said in episode 1, I found out about my dad, and then 8 hours later, I was under a squat bar. And I think you've got to do something like that. Club Iron, it was born through personal struggle.
Oof.
And you've got to remember that there is always a purpose to your life. There is never a moment where your life is worthless, because no one's life is worthless. There is always something in your life to live for, and there is someone who loves you, and you need to live for them. This has gone really down the deep road really quickly.
Well, use it as a